Welcome back. It's one thing to find out what's wrong with you after you already have symptoms, but what if you could get a full-body MRI and find out about things before you even have any symptoms at all? Well, here to break that down for us is Dr. Robert Kagan. All right, Dr. Kagan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
You got all dressed up. I like it.
Well, I don't get, usually I put a white coat on at work so I don't get blood on it or something, but here, I just thought I'd get my suit on. It's one of my...
Yeah, well, we promise that there won't be much bloodshed during the course of this interview. Typically, you can make it unscathed without even a paper cut. All right, so first let's talk about you, and let's talk about the MRI scan and imaging centers. Tell us about you.
Well, I came to Florida in 1977. I moved here because I was board certified in two fields, pathology and nuclear medicine. So I wanted to go to a place big enough that had both of those specialties, but small enough so I could do both.
Okay.
Because if I went to a big city, I'd have to pick one. And so it was about a city of about 1 million. So Fort Lauderdale was one of the choices, and I happened to come here in the winter time, as opposed to the other place I was considering in Ohio, which was
right, no contest at
no
that
contest
yeah.
at all. So
right.
I decided to come here to Holy Cross Hospital, and I was hired to be the chief of laboratories and nuclear medicine at Holy Cross Hospital, and I stayed there until the idea came into my head that MRI was a huge medical breakthrough, and nobody was doing it. It was an investigational tool, so I decided I was going to build the first MRI center in Florida, and so I left Holy Cross Hospital, and I did that in 1983.
And you built it out of an old McDonald's?
Well, it wasn't old McDonald's, but it was a McDonald's.
Right.
McDonald's was fairly early on in those years, but yes, we thought back in those days you needed a freestanding building with nothing around it because you're putting this big magnet in there, and you didn't want to stop anybody's pacemaker or elevators, or there was a lot of myths. So I looked on Commercial Boulevard because I was at Holy Cross, and that was right on Commercial Boulevard, and that was a freestanding building, and I just went in there one day and asked if it was for sale, and next thing I knew, I heard that it was, and I bought the McDonald's and turned it into the Diagnostic Imaging Center that's still there today from 1983.
It's a great story. All right, so what are some of the primary services at the MRI scan and imaging centers?
Well, we do all of what I would call complex imaging, okay? In other words, we don't do plain x-rays. So we do MRI scans, we do CAT scans, we do PET scans, and we do ultrasound. So the only thing we don't do are plain x-rays because we figure, well, a lot of doctors' offices have plain x-ray, and I'm not going to compete with that. So we do what's called complex medical imaging. So most of our almost all of our referrals come from some sort of health professional, whether he's an MD or a chiropractor or an osteopath, dentists. So we got a lot of referrals for doing these diagnostic studies so people can get a correct diagnosis, okay? That's, it's what I call reactive medicine. It's the medicine, traditional medicine, where you have something wrong with you, and you have a symptom or a sign, and your doctor is not sure exactly what it is, so you need to do these imaging studies.
For people who've never done them, and I've never had to do one, but I know that some people it can be fairly traumatic for, right? So what is the experience like? How claustrophobic is it like? Do people get very stressed out?
Well, let's talk about the MRI scan, because CAT scans are very quick, okay? So
right.
even if you have confinement anxiety or what's called claustrophobia, it's over so quickly that you don't have time to think about it. But the MRI scan can take, of course, we have the most advanced MRI scanner in the world, so what used to take an hour takes 10 minutes, okay? So the scans are pretty quick, but there can be very complicated scans that could take 20 minutes, let's say. And there are people that, it's open on both ends, okay? And so you can be listening to music or putting on prism glasses where you can look out like, you could see right out. But still, there are people that have claustrophobia. They can't even go in an elevator. There are people that have it. And then there are people who discover that they have claustrophobia. But I'd say About 1 out of every 20 people have a problem with confinement anxiety.
Yeah, it's not as bad as I've seen on House. I guess I'm basing my medical knowledge from what I've seen on TV, you know, but I guess in actuality it's probably not that bad. Who are some of the prime candidates for a full body MRI? Of our viewers watching, who do you think, you know, might need to come in and get it done? What do you usually look for?
All right. Well, first of all, getting back to the other question, most MRIs took about 45 minutes to an hour. You know, there's very few MRI machines like the one I have.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, we have the only outpatient installation of this machine in the United States. So there are 2 others in Florida, but they're at University of Miami and one's at Mayo. So they can take 45 minutes to an hour, which can be annoying. Lying there, but I look forward to it. Actually, I volunteer to go in there. I take a little nap. It's a rest. It depends on your personality.
Okay.
In terms of the second question, well, there's 2 types. You know, there's the reactive medicine, which is the one where you have a symptom or a sign. You know, you have neck pain, and you don't know why you have neck pain. You know, sometimes you think it's because you were in a motor vehicle accident, so that could be one reason. It could be trauma, or you had a slip and fall, or you know, you have a symptom and you don't know why you have that symptom. The doctor will do an X-ray and he doesn't really know. You know, he knows the body part. Well, it's coming from your neck. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now you need to do a scan. Okay, and the next step would be many times an MRI scan, because it's a definitive scan. The MRI scan is 20,000 times the resolution of the best CAT scan, and a CAT scan is hundreds of thousands of times better than a plain X-ray. Because a CAT scan is an X-ray. It's just a very sophisticated X-ray, okay? So that would be the step to make a diagnosis, because and then your doctor would know how to treat you properly. But then there's something new that we're doing, which is called this proactive medicine,
right,
which is where you don't have a symptom, but you basically, it's like the most advanced checkup you can have, because I've come to the realization after doing these tests for so many years that there's always this period of time before you're symptomatic that you have the problem. Mm-hmm. You just don't know you have the problem. I don't care what it is, unless it's trauma. But for example, anything like coronary artery disease, cancer, aneurysms, you have the problem long before you have a symptom. And if you were able to detect that problem, you could be cured. But that's not how medicine works today.
Right.
Medicine waits today, you have to have the symptom first, and once you have the symptom, then you can get into the system, and then we can diagnose the problem, but it might not be curable at that point.
If people want to get an appointment, they want to find out more about your centers, how do they do it?
Well, they can call the MRI Scan Center. A separate division is called Body Vision, which is the division which does the whole body scanning, and the main number is 954-772-8000.
Okay, incredible. Thank you so much for coming in. It was great to meet you.
Okay, nice meeting you.
All right, we'll have you
too.
back.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Doctor, and that'll do it for today's show. A big thank you to all of our guests, and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments or ideas about what we should cover, all you have to do is tweet me at Dave Azer. You can also follow our show on Facebook at Inside South Florida. We'll see you next weekend, and as always, we'll see you all week long from 7 to 9 a.m. on our morning show, Eye Opener. So take care, and we'll see you soon.